Who has a pen or who have a pen? Who does the cooking or who do the cooking? Who has been paying the bill or who have been paying the bill? Why does she call or why does she call? These are some of the problems learners of the English language actually baffles with from time to time due to the fact that they find it a little bit cumbersome to know the right kind of verb to apply after all WH words in WH questions. It is very much important you take note that your result is a product of the principle you apply either consciously or unconsciously. If you want to get a fact, you really need to stay committed because they are going to expose you to the right kind of verb you need to use after all WH words in WH questions. If this is what you're actually interested in, can you tag along with me, probably with your snacks, juice, whatsoever it is. As for me, I'm going for my cup of tea, so wait a minute, I'll be right back. Welcome back. It will really delight you to know something about the WH questions before we go about the demystification on the right set of verbs you apply after all WH words. WH questions are otherwise known as the special questions. They're called special questions simply because yes and no cannot answer them. And all WH questions are always introduced by WH words, which include when, who, what, where, why, among others. Now, this is where the problem is. Many language learners, English language learners to be precise, always find it a bit difficult to know the right kind of verb to use after all WH words. This video contains the 2 rules that best explains the right kind of verb you need to apply after all WH words. Let's start with the first rule. Whenever a question is inquired about the subject of a sentence, a single verb is always applied. Sagacious note. Single verbs are verbs that takes s, es, or ies, specifically for main verbs. So examples of single verbs are bakes, makes, carries, among others. Talking about the singular auxiliary verbs, the singular auxiliary verbs could exist in past tense or present tense, which are is, are, was, were, does, and do. Do you understand that? So, whenever a question is actually inquired about the subject of a sentence, it is very much necessary you apply a singular verb. Example 1. Who has a pen? You don't say who have a pen. Do you get it? Other example is who bakes the cake? You don't say who bake the cake, but who bakes, single verb, the cake. So you must always stick to the usage of singular verb whenever a question is inquired about the subject of the sentence. Let's move to rule 2, and that is the last rule in this video. Let me ask you, what could be the opposite of subject in grammar? Is your answer object? If yes, then definitely you're correct. Whenever a question is inquired about the object of a sentence, 2 things are actually involved, okay? The first thing you need to do is to consider the nature of the subject. If the subject is a singular subject, you apply a single verb after your WH. But if the subject happens to be a plural subject, you apply a plural verb after the WH. Do you get it? That is, when question is inquired about the object of the sentence, the nature of the subject will determine the right verb to use after the WH. Let's take some sentence structure, okay? Do you say, what does she say, or what does she say? Think about it. What does she say, what does she say? If the subject will determine the verb, then should it be do or does? Actually, the answer is does, simply because does is a single verb and the subject in the question happens to be a single subject as well, she. That is why I said earlier that whenever a question is inquired about the object of the sentence, the nature of the subject will determine the right verb to use after the WH. So all you just have to do in a situation like that is to determine if the subject in the question is a singular subject or plural subject. Let's take another sentence structure as an example. Are you ready for that? You say, what language do they speak? Or what language does they speak? Actually, the right answer is do, okay? Simply because the subject in the question is a plural, they. So you apply a plural verb, okay? Do. I'm going to be releasing a video very soon on singular verb and plural verb. How you can actually identify them in a sentence, those things you need to watch out for to know if a verb is singular or plural. So if you're interested in this, just subscribe so that you can always get the notification for every video. It's time for the drill. So let's see how far you've learned. Some questions will be appearing on the screen right now, so try as much as possible to answer the question. Who those companies? Who owns those companies? Option B. So don't forget, whenever a question is inquired about the subject of the sentence, you must always repeat, always apply single verb. Question 2. Why she can't her? The right answer is does. The question is inquired about the object of the sentence, so just like I said earlier, whenever a question is inquired about the object of the sentence, the nature of the subject will determine the right answer. So she happens to be the single subject in the question, so you apply a single verb which is does. 3. Who a car? The right answer is who has a car. Question inquired about a subject, so always apply a single verb. Has and not have. Now the last question is a bit tricky question. When the cleric today the right answer is when does the cleric arrive today? Do you get it right? So the question is inquired about the object of the sentence, so the nature of the subject, which is the cleric, a single subject noun phrase. We determine the right kind of verb to use. So for that reason you use a single verb because the subject is singular. Do you get it? So after every due class of verbs like the does, the did, the do itself, you must always use a present plural verb, otherwise known as the base verb. Okay, so that is why it is arrive and not arrives. If you've learned a lot in this video, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video, and these are my social media handles. I'm very happy if you can actually follow all my social media handles. Soon on single subject and my saying. Kids were releasing a video episode 3 to 4. I'm really tired of